and sunny Saturday afternoon, and thanks again for joining us on Dear Van. As usual, go out there, let your family and friends know that there is nothing better they can be doing on a Saturday afternoon than to join us on another great episode. And so go out there, share the page, like the page. I mean, I don't know what else you would want to be doing. So we're so blessed this afternoon. We have with us Reverend and Dr. Mrs. Che Mensah. Thanks so much for joining us, Reverend and Dr. Mrs. Che Mensah.
Thanks for having us, Van.
Right. Okay. So we've been discussing finances over, a couple of weeks now, because basically it is one of those key areas that need to be addressed in marriages. And so we have the pleasure of learning from your experience. Now, we've been looking at these three categories of handling finances. So the first one being Mina handles her own money and Reverend Che handles his. The second one being that Mina handles her money, Reverend Che handles his money, but they contribute into a pool. And the third one is having a master pool where everything goes in and then we start spending from there. How does it work for you?
Will you start? Okay, all right. So the first one, obviously, no. I listened to the three you mentioned, and I think the first one would be out. That is each person individually managing his or her own money.
Okay.
What we do, it seems to be a mixture. I'm not too clear of the categories, but then what we do seems to be a mixture of the last two. That is one, each we have a pool. We consider like one of our philosophies on marriage is such that what belongs to you is mine, what belongs to me is yours. As such, every money she has is deemed mine, and what I have is also deemed to be hers. And so that's how we do it. But then we know there are some technicalities. For instance, if she's receiving her salary, it can only be paid into an account with her name on it. And if I also have to receive any salary from anywhere, it has to come into an account with my name on it. As such, the money has to be lodged in first as mine before it is described as ours. And likely for hers as well, it has to be hers before it is considered ours.
Okay. So if I got you well, that money obviously from their sources go into your respective accounts first, and then from there it comes into a pool, like 100% from both parties come into a pool.
Yes, something very similar to that. And at least since we've been married for close to 11 years now, and what we do is that we know the very important things that need to be done. For instance, if we need to take up this project, it is done in such a way that whatever money is gotten from any source is geared towards the fulfillment or execution of that project. So it does not. She received the money, but then she received the money knowing that I am receiving this money for this particular project. If it whether it's got to do with taking care of family finances or children or whatever, we know what you have is mine and what I have is yours. So there is no clear delineation that this one is specifically my money and I'm going to use it for something which will benefit just myself or what I deem to be reasonable. But then what you have can be used for the family. And so let me say this. I think since it's a common, you've lived in Ghana before and you've heard of this term that they usually call chop money. So
yeah,
you should know what chop money is. You would have to explain to the audience what that is. But then we don't know what is chop money. If once we know we need to buy food for the house, if she has the money, she buys the food. If I happen to be in town, I can just buy the food. And once the food gets into the house, it's our food. We don't need to specify my money did this or otherwise.
Okay. Yeah, so that's pretty clear. So for viewers out there, what Reverend Che is saying, it's very similar to what I keep saying I do with Prissy. I mean, it's not like there is a physical account that receives the money, but in principle, we all know that the funds that come is for all of us, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. That's good. Now, do you have budgets? Like, do you sit down and say, plan that, okay, this month, this is what we're going to spend on, and so on and so forth? How does it work for you, Mina?
Well, well, I think that for us, I think since we've been married for a while, we know what is needed for, let's say, a week or for a month. We know we have to buy school supplies for the children. We
Yeah.
have to buy, maybe pay electricity, water.
Yeah.
So, in perspective, we try to stay within our means, what we are earning. So, if we don't have the means, we don't go there. Like
Okay.
go on down till we are financially up to, then we attack that particular. So whatever we are earning, we try to spend within that. Okay, so we can enter a shop and we can enjoy them, we can buy things and we say, okay, this one. But for now,
Okay.
we cannot afford it, so we stay within our means. So we don't really do a budget, but we know how much we earn and how much we have at a particular time. So and stay within the forms of that particular income we have at that time. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And Van, if I may add to what she said,
Yeah.
very true. But you see, as the marriage has over the years, so has our finance. So she's now speaking from the point where we do not need to make a specific budget for some specific activities.
Right.
There was a time in our marriage where if anything that had to be bought, I remember I had an Excel sheet. Anything that had to be bought,
Right.
had to be put in there. And if you bought anything outside the budget as well, we had to put it there. I think a year or two ago, I chanced upon this Excel sheet. I opened it and I was amazed that the sorts of things I made budget for, even a tin of milk, it has to be to be in there. So, but then essentially, we our first attack at our first aim at budgeting or anything is spending within our means. So there are some things which sometimes we know that no, this one, if we had it, it would be good. But can we have it now? Maybe yes. If you have it now, can you sustain it over a period of time? If no, then we may want to stay away from that.
Wow, that's a good one. Courage says, "Yay!" I'm sure Courage is so happy to be hearing from you guys. Now, you said something very, very important. What I gleaned from that is that handling finances actually evolves, because what you were doing at the beginning of your marriage is not what you necessarily doing at this point in time. And I think it's a very important point that needs to be put out there. So, what am I doing now?
I think it is true. As he's speaking, I remember when we were getting married, we did something similar. We had to put together all the various income we'll be getting over the period and then look at how much we have to spend. And then we put the two together and we were calculating, be able to meet up with all the various expenses that we had to make. So I think at a point, budgeting is very important, and a lot of people start a lot of things without about how much it's going to cost, and at the end of the day, you'll get stuck. So on your level of income, I think you have to budget. Budgeting is very important.
Wow. So Carrie says that wonderful Excel sheets to start to knowing of head growth. Yeah, that really spells out growth. You've come from a point where you have to list everything to now. I mean, roughly everyone knows how to go about it. Okay, now I know you guys are entrepreneurs, right? You run businesses here and there and all. how do you? I don't know if you are the kind of entrepreneurs who will just move out there because there is an opportunity and you want to fund it and then, I mean, create a business out of it. If an opportunity comes like that, how do you address it? Because it might be something that has not necessarily been planned. How do you address it before going ahead? At what point do you decide that, okay, this is something we could actually fund, and so let's go for it?
Okay, so one thing about our model of business is that it is driven by the growth,
Okay.
like what we are doing. We don't actually um look for opportunities. They just come with as the business grows. Then we realize that we have to move to this level, and it is fueled by the income which is coming out of the business. So it is not really some looking out for opportunities. We try to stay true to the course that we are in. So for example, if we are into our core business is baby stuff, and
Right.
we didn't start with baby stuff from there, but we have grown into it and decided that that's the course we want to go. So we are not thinking of expanding, but we are digging deeper. So
Okay.
we are rather going deeper and deeper
Right.
into the core. So it's driven by one customers. It's customer driven. So the
Yeah.
customers will direct you as to yes, and
What to
then
do?
yes. So when you see that, most of the time we
Mhm.
test. We
Okay.
don't just go in and put in money. We test. So you have to test whether this thing is a viable thing to invest money in. So when you run your test and you realize that, oh, okay, it seems that it's viable, then we invest it. Yes. And if it's a project, you slow, not moved by what somebody is saying. For example, when we people have a lot of opinion. You shouldn't be here. You should be out there. You should be this. You should be out and all. But we talking about living our means. We think that's which we want to move, not influence what other people say. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's a good one. Good insight there. Reverend J, you want to add something?
Yeah, I think one thing in terms of business, we try to let it grow organically, like she said. So
Right.
one arm of our business is we do deliveries. That
Right.
dispatch riders doing deliveries,
Mhm.
and it became necessary for us to venture into that line of business because at a time we realized that the outside vendors or the vendors that we were relying on to carry out our deliveries were not able to fulfill our expectations. So it
Right.
became necessary that we branch into that field. So we didn't start off thinking that we would create this line of business, but then
Right.
it became a necessity because of our usual business operations. And I think that's something that entrepreneurs would want to watch out for. The
Right.
business must grow organically.
Mm.
You do not necessarily force something to come into existence, but then if there is the opportunity or if there is the necessity to, then you just make it happen.
Right. I think that's good advice there. I mean, you leave it, let it grow organically. You don't necessarily need to scale when you can't even sustain it. And so, yeah, I think that's a good one. Okay. Now, do you think that generally running a business as part of, I mean, it's a family business, like, for lack of a better expression, how do you think that impacts finances in marriage generally?
Okay, so it's one thing about running business is such that there is always there is this innate temptation about you always seem to see money. You always seem to see money. It's a good thing,
Right.
but then it can be a terrible temptation because
Uh,
uh, the family needs this. Okay,
yeah.
I see that the business has brought this. Let me use it, and if you do not take care, you are going to stifle the growth of the business. So there is that negative aspect of, because you see money always, you are tempted to think that you're a rich man. And I've interacted with quite a people of substance, people who are well to do, and sometimes this temptation, they fall to this temptation because they see money frequently. They may be tempted to be using it for just about everything that money can do. And if you do not take care, the time the business is going to suffer for it. So that's one thing that I would say about, that's one impact of business wealth on the family money. You may think you have money, but then that money is actually for the business, and if you don't use it well, you may stifle business growth.
But from my point of view too, I think it helps. It really helps the family also, because sometimes if you have to wait for your salary to finance, you have to go begging. You have to be knocking on doors. Especially sometimes, I mean, I don't even think about the material thing. But for example, your child is sick, or probably you are sick, and you need medical care, which is you know, it's for the business anyway, but you don't need to go and beg anybody for that money. Yes, so I think that if families can start something on the side, which everybody can get involved. Me, for example, when I was growing, we always had a family business running, and everybody in the evenings, we all be around helping to. My dad would take part before he goes to work. Everybody's hand, and every time there's food in the house. So I think that it's important for me, from where I stand. And you know, when there's money in the house, there's love. There's
money solves a lot of problems.
Yes. So,
or sometimes even the presence of money drives out certain problems.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think instead of you want to instead of sitting down and then fighting over issue, I think you should commit your energies in creating something that would bring money to solve those issues. Your money answers a lot of questions.
Wow. I think this is a really, really good point you've made. So ladies and gentlemen out there, if you've not heard anything today, right? Mina is saying that all the energy you have for all the unnecessary fights and whatever, channel it into running a business. I mean, start small, start something. And then you will be surprised that some few months or years down the lane, now most of those fights have vanished because apparently there were money issues.
No, there's a local account proverb. It says, Sika wofia akransu anapa.
Okay.
When there's money, children do not cry in the morning in the house.
That's right. That's right. I mean, if we really think about it, the reason it seems managing money managing money in marriage is a big deal because most of the problems are hinged to that. I mean, if you can really sort out your finances, then you should be fine. Okay, so Priscilla is saying that money sometimes brings healing. I mean, which is very true. Okay, so Courage is repeating what Reverend said. When there is money in the house, there is love. Money solves a lot of problems. The presence of money, Ampa, Reverend, and Doctor. And then Stephen is saying powerful statement because I mean it's reality. Okay, now my next question is, what do you think has been the biggest mistake you've made when it comes to handling money in marriage over the 11 years that you've been married? Yeah, this is a tough one.
Okay, so she will look at it as I do something here. Just a minute, I'll join you.
Well, I think for us, maybe from the beginning, when Maybe when we started the business, we didn't really structure how we were going to spend the money. So at a point, we were just dipping, and when we need something, we just dip our hands. So at a point, then we decided that we have to pay ourselves, and we will not touch the business. Yes. So I think from the beginning, if we had made that decision early, it would have helped. Yes, because that time when we started, if something we need something, we would just dip our hands into the money, pick it, do whatever we want. And it wasn't really helping the business. But we couldn't really account well. We couldn't show forth what is really the true picture of the business. Yes. So at a point, then we decided that that's what we had to do, so that whatever money you are getting into your account, you use it for what you need, and then to help the family. Yes. Yeah.
Right. So that's a good one. Courage is saying, nice to know you pay yourselves. So Reverend Che, now you escaped at first, but you still answer that question. So what do you think is the biggest mistake you guys have made, apart from what Mina said?
Okay, I wasn't really listening to what she said, and it's a question I would have to give some thoughts to before I'm able to answer. But I think essentially, one, I'll say, in terms of business, one mistake I'll say I did was that, for most small businesses, when you start, you do not, I never did accounting. Even when I had the opportunity to do it, I realized that accounting was a non-scoring subject. Then I decided if it's non-score, I won't do it. So
you do it, yeah.
So when we started, I realized that there were some things which I needed the services of an accountant for, and we never did until a certain stage in the life of the business. And I think it didn't help us because at some point, GRE really came after us. And it wasn't because we were doing anything illegal, but because I simply lacked the knowledge or the capacity to do certain things. So I think once you have it in mind that you'll be doing business, and there should be at least get a book, dummy for accounting for dummies, something. Just have a basic money or accounting knowledge, because it helps. If not, then it becomes difficult for you to track your progress. There are some of our businesses, or I mean not ours, but then there are some local businesses where maybe the person goes for an item, it costs $5. Okay, so how do I price it? I'll price it at $6. Why do you want to price it at $6 without the knowledge of accounting, knowing that these are my operational costs? And if I have to pay myself, if I have to pay taxes and other things, then the true value or the selling cost, the selling price of the item should be this and not that. But without really sitting down to do profit and loss statement and all those other things, it may be difficult to track your money. You may think you are in business. I bought it for 10, I'm selling for 11, so I've made a profit of 1. You may be working at a loss. So that's something which I think people should take care about.
Okay, that's a very good one. And so viewers out there, if you take Mina's advice and you go start a business, also take Reverend's advice and get, some basic accounting knowledge to know your numbers, understand your numbers. Otherwise, you'd be happily saying that, oh yeah, I took Mina's advice, we're running a business, and you will just be wasting your time. That's in just going back and forth without making any real progress financially. Okay, so now I'm going to take your final words, right? If assuming there is a couple out there who are very intrigued and quite happy about what they are hearing from you, what would be your advice to them generally? Concerning money, concerning being able to put the numbers together, being able to run the home with whatever income is coming. What would be your advice to them?
Okay. First, I would say that commitment is everything. I mean, once, no, in the Bible, there was a time when a group of people, what we usually call the Tower of Babel, they
Right.
decided to build a tower which would reach up to the heavens.
Yeah.
And what God said concerning these people is that if I do not stop them, they will indeed achieve this very thing they've set their hearts to. So
Right.
in everything that you want to do, once the two of you purpose that this is what we want to do, I'm very certain that doing it right, you are going to, I mean, attract the blessings of God, and
Right.
also you are going to prosper in whatever you are doing. In view of that, families or couples who you may just have started life, but then it's not too early. There is no time too early to start your own business, and I think the best time to start is when you are actually young, when you still have uh, energy. Uh,
Right.
I mean, sometimes. Yes, you may be working for other people, expend your energy. Also makes some difference when you're able to expend your energy on your own business.
Right.
The reason why you would have to do it to grow it becomes lower. So at
Yeah.
let's say 50 years, 50 years,
Yeah.
leave your job and start a business. It's possible
Right.
that if you feel your pension benefit
Yeah.
that's young. Maybe the third one I would say before is do not be afraid to fail.
Okay.
If you are young, if you feel you still have a lot ahead of
Right.
the failure to fail can sometimes cripple people and they are able to achieve nothing.
Wow. Wow. That's a bookload of advice there. Yeah, Mina, what's your take?
Oh, well, when for me, what I want to say is that
Mm-hmm.
um most families run into financial issues because they don't live within their means. That's one
Okay.
thing. Yes, because a lot of people try to succumb to societal pressure. They try
Right.
to live to please people. In the
Yeah.
end, they buy stuff that they can't afford. They run into loans. They have to
Yeah.
take loans to
Yeah.
live up to expectation.
Mm-hmm.
You are not in competition with anybody. So if you
Right.
are wearing the same dress every day, you know what you are working towards. So
Yeah.
you have to stay focused. I say to the glory of God that we've done a lot of projects and we don't use loans. We just
Right.
run with what we have and then we
Yeah.
run slowly
At our own
at your
pace.
own pace.
Right.
So I think the problems a lot of families run into is because they try to live like to compare their lives to people. Wife
Mm.
wants to look like her friend, the hair she's wearing, the shoes she's wearing, the car she's driving. You
Yeah.
just have to run your life at your own pace, have a plan for your life, and know that this is where I want to get it. It takes some time, and definitely you will get there. So I think if a couple, like when you start life and you put that in your mind that let's work at our own pace, let's not be pressured by society or what somebody, whatever little that you are earning, you can
Yeah.
still manage it. Psych your children up. If they come, mommy, we want, they say we are not ready for that
You
now.
can't want it. Yeah. Right.
Yes, now. Oh, you will get it, but not now. So
Yeah.
let's let's tone down. And
Yeah.
whatever you have, you'll be content. I think that most people feel sad and they feel they want to be because they are not content with what they have.
Wow.
Contentment, I think it's
It's great gain, as the
it's
Bible
Yeah.
great
says.
gain. Yes,
Yeah.
it makes you happy.
Right.
Whatever that you have, you are content with it and you are happy with it, and you can manage and you'll be happy in whatever you are doing. Amen.
Wow, amen. So Emmanuel says that God bless you, mommy, for this wisdom. I mean, I keep telling you guys that there is nothing you would rather be doing on a Saturday afternoon when there is DF1 than to come here and listen. This is real wisdom, and it's free. Thank you so much, Reverend and Dr. Mrs. Chambers. We really blessed. I mean, um, I'm going to tell the children not to be wanting things by heart. I mean, they can't just want things. Right. So we really appreciate your insights. We really appreciate the wisdom you've brought to us today. And we'll definitely reach out to you. Later on, you come on another episode called This Is Our Story to tell us your story, how you met and all that. We want to hear that nice story.
Yeah. How much time do you have on that?
You need 2 hours? We'll give you 2 hours.
No, I can't.
Right. Okay. So thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Courage is saying that free wisdom. Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen out there, go out there, start something, and remember what the Reverend said. Get some knowledge, basic knowledge about accounting, and then get it going. And again, as Mina said, live within your means. If you think someone is overdressing and you are tempted, close your eyes or don't go out. You just stay indoors. So on that note, we wrap up this episode of Dear Van. We'll come to you next week with another episode. Thank you so much for staying with us. As always, remember that no two relationships are the same. Cheers and bye for now.
When you marry, initially people would want to see, hey, how are these people doing? Sometimes, especially when you have a big wedding. So people also tend to want to impress others by sewing, dressing up, renting big apartments, buying expensive cars. Meanwhile, you'll be suffering inside. Your finances cannot hold, and that is what people go through a lot here. So they try to impress everyone outside the marriage except the two of them.